Hello, 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 and welcome to the Joy of Connection. And I am so happy because we are connecting in Spain. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful time. And the reason I'm here is to check out the retreat for 2022. Yes, I'm going to have a Spanish retreat, but I want to tell you all now because I'm just doing my little recce now, getting all the really important little pieces that are going to be so special and different to make this an awesome experience. So for those of you that are part of the Joy Connection clan, you'll know everything that you need to know. And those of you that don't, will make sure you know when you need to know. But let's get back to what we're doing today. Today, we're meeting with a beautiful, beautiful woman. And I mean it, outside, inside, all around. Her name is Xina Gooding-Broderick. And I can't wait for you to meet her because today we're going to talk about love and balance. So please welcome Xina.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Michelle.
Thank you for coming on the show. I know you're a busy woman, you've got lots going on, so thank you for making this work in your schedule or in your schedule. So, Xina, as I love to tell the audience, and I forgot to tell the audience, this has been recorded because I'm not here. So please send your messages. We will respond either on the night or later on and come back to you. So don't worry. But this is pre-recorded. It's still amazing. So, Xina, tell everyone where you're from and where you live.
Okay, so I am from Leeds, West Yorkshire, born and raised, and I lived in London for 20 years and lived in Spain for 6 months, but I'm back in sunny Leeds. It's not so sunny today, but I am back living in Leeds, West Yorkshire, where I'm originally from.
Okay, and when you said you lived in Spain, I didn't know that. Where in Spain did you live?
I lived in Valencia.
I'm going tomorrow or the day after.
Nice.
Yeah. What were you doing? Studying or?
No, I'd planned to migrate to Spain and it didn't work out, which is why I came back to the UK.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk a lot more about that off screen. So don't worry about it. That's great. So tell me, as you know, the show's called Joy of Connection. So how did we connect? Do you remember? I love that.
So what I remember about connecting with you is, and what I know for sure is that you're my beloved cousin Gwen's like bona fide friend.
That's
from
right.
like decades back.
Decades.
Yeah, decades back. And I know that I met Gwen's friends when I was a girl. But I remember you more recently. I believe you interviewed my cousin Gwen.
That's
and
correct.
I watched the interview and she told me that you remembered me.
Oh, yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah. So let me tell you my version of it.
Okay.
So when I would go and visit Gwen, she would say to me, my little cousins are coming from Leeds and you've got to come meet them because they've got this really funny accent. It's really cute. Well, I guess we didn't say cute then, just really sweet accent. I said, okay. So I came over and you and your sister were there, small. And I'd just say, well, say something. And then you'd say something and I'd be like, oh my God, we're Londoners. I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. And you're always so smart and so lovely, the two of you. So when later on we were just talking, I was like, when I moved back, because I've been back about 10 years. And I said, how are your little cousins, up in Leeds? And she's like, first of all, they're not little, they're married, they've got families of their own, and they're professional women. I was like, oh. Because in my mind, little ones.
Just a little. So nice.
That's the impression I have. So, I now want the world to hear how professional you are, how great you are. So before we get to that part, tell me, because the Joy of Connection is about self-love and self-care, how we connect with ourselves and then others. So you're married with a family and you've got your own business and you do other things. How does Xina find time for self-love and self-care? What do you do?
It's interesting the way that you put that, because it's often a question, how do you find time for such things? For me, I make time for that. That's mandatory.
Fantastic.
And everything else is built upon that. So I go to bed early. I retire to my bed early. I get a good night's sleep in. And then everything's built in on that. I eat properly. Well, I say properly. I do have my everything in balance, but the most of my food is very healthy. But yeah, this thing about finding time, I go to bed early. I do my yoga at night as part of my wind down time with my little boy. I fit in mother and son time. Mother and sons, got quite a few sons about the place. But the youngest one, my bedtime routine is tied to his bedtime routine. So it's time for him to switch off his screen at 7 o'clock. We go upstairs. It's candlelight in our bedroom, and I'll be doing yoga. He'll have his audio book on. We'll listen to the audio book together. So I'll be doing my yoga to candlelight whilst listening to the story. We'll both be like making comments on how the story's going. Peter will wander in at some point in the night. You know, he'll come in probably around the time when it's like, get out of my bed, it's time for you to go to your own room. Our son, not to me.
I was going to ask you. Too much information.
Yeah, so we that's how I wind down. So sometimes if there are evening appointments, I just can't do them. I can't do evening appointments. Weekends are for me to calm down as well and do a lot of my spiritual work. I meditate on the morning, standard, got to meditate, even if it's standing in the shower, you know, and literally having peace and love rain down on me. I've got to do that work. It's mandatory. It's mandatory because on that, everything else is built. Self-love is, for me, it's about attending to my core values and checking in on them every single day. So my core value, front and center, is love. Love, 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 love. Love of self, love of the people I hang out with. I hang out with people purposefully. So it's not about hanging out with sycophants or people who just agree with everything I say, because my people keep me grounded. But it's more to do with the quality of my interactions. That's really important to me. So when I come, Michelle, and we're here together, you can believe there's no distractions. If my door goes and it's a delivery, it's just going to have to come and leave because I'm not leaving from Michelle. We're here together. This is presence now. This is where this is how I do my connections, right? And it's got to be done right. And it's got to be done with purpose. And it's got to be done with presence. 100%. I've got to be here. And that is part of my self-care, you know, acknowledging my core values every day.
I'm just mesmerized. Keep talking. This is lovely. This is so beautiful. You know, one of the things I find really inspiring and really interesting is your concept of getting up early, well, going to bed early, making that sanctuary for yourself and your family. So, you know, the family love part comes in the evening as part of the wind down, which is fabulous. And then you get your sleep, which is about Xina. And then you wake up in the morning and you do your meditation or yoga or whatever you do for yourself, whether it's standing in the shower or whatever. And so then there's me time again, and then it's into family and then into work. And I find that really, really inspiring. It's really great because, as you said, so many of us complain about, oh, I haven't got time for this, or I don't do that. And it's not about having the time, as you said, it's about making the time. So there's
it's
really
always me time. It's always me time. It's all me time. So when I'm working, I really believe in a hobby lifestyle. Hobby lifestyle, people. That's what it's all about. Enjoying my sleep, enjoying waking up every morning, enjoying my meditation, enjoying my work, enjoying my family. My husband's my hobby, the poor man. My children, they're my hobby, my poor sons. You know, my sister, my mother, my cousin Gwen, my family. It's all hobby. It's all my hobby lifestyle.
So when you know, when you say they're your hobby. And define that for us. What does that mean?
Okay, so remember back in the day when hobbies were really common, like people would do knitting as a hobby, or dressmaking as a hobby, or I don't know, what did we used to do, man? Back when I was a girl, men would, particularly men, not so much women, they'd build like a house out of matchsticks. Remember that, Michelle?
No,
They'd build
I'm too young for that. I don't know.
they just like build like make houses out of playing cards, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what, it's this thing about, if you're knitting and you drop a stitch, you don't like throw the knitting across the room and say, that's it, I give up. They would stick at it. They'd be like, oh man, I've dropped a stitch, let me unpick that and do it again. But they'd be in the zone, they'd go into flow state, and it was so common, it wasn't even called flow state, it was called knitting, right? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me, it's the same thing, but for everything in my life that I choose to have in my life, it's all a hobby. It's all an opportunity for me to be in flow state. It's all
Wow.
a meditation. Everything's an opportunity for a meditation. So sitting here talking to you, it's part of my meditation, right? I'm being purposeful in the way that I present and enjoying Michelle and just being grateful to be asked here. When I was a girl, do you think I could imagine being interviewed by someone as wonderful and inspirational and beautiful as you? As a kid, that was out of reach, you know?
Oh,
Yet here I am, and this is happening to me. You bet this is my hobby. It's
but you
all
know what? Nothing's really ever out of our reach. I remember my father saying to me, you know, you can only not do something if you don't want it for yourself. You know, you've got to decide this is what I want and go for it. Now, people dress it up and make it bigger than it is, and sometimes we think we want something because everybody else has it. Doesn't mean that's for you. Doesn't mean that's what you have to have. And sometimes we have to learn that on our journey. So it's really good stuff. Now, gosh, I've got so many questions for you. So I'm going to move on to asking you about being an executive leadership coach. What does that mean? It's a lovely title, executive leadership coach, but what does it mean? What does that mean? Why would I come to you? What would you be teaching me or coaching me about?
okay. So I work with people who are in executive positions and people who are in leadership roles. And you might have noticed my business name is Mother of Abundance.
Come to
I'm
that.
I'm an executive leadership coach for mothers in leadership roles. And
Okay.
the reason that I decided to work with that is because that's kind of me. I'm a mother who is madly in love with her family. I love business and I'm a nerd, right? And I'm ambitious. And I really believe that there is a place in the world for both mothers who love their families and mothers who really love business and want to be really good at it. And it doesn't even need to be business. It could be people who are like executives in C-suite, you know, people who are CEOs and all that kind of that level of leadership, and they really want to lead better. And I help them to lead themselves first, because we're all responsible, right? And that doesn't mean, this is not a blame thing we're doing. This is about having the ability to respond in a way that is in alignment with our core values, right? So
Absolutely.
I help people to be response able. You know, I help them to realize that ability and bring it to the fore in a leadership context. So in a way that they can inspire their teams and lead through core values, whether they consider those to be traditional values. A lot of the time I help women, mothers, to take the advice that they're giving their children.
That's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
So instead of saying to your kids, you know, you can be anything you want to be, and that's what's coming from their mouth. But what they're demonstrating to their children is that they're burnt out, there's no balance, they're not happy, someone at work is trying to kill them, and they're not getting on with their relationships, there's no balance. I help them to actually show their children, demonstrate to their children it's actually true. You can be what you want. You don't need to say, oh, well, it's just such a shame that this is how leadership is. No, you're the leader, you're in charge. You get to dictate how it works.
Yes, yes. And
so do
you only work with women?
I do only work with women. I tend to work with mothers in leadership roles. Sometimes men slip in under the radar, and I embrace them warmly. And this is because I am a feminist who loves men.
Okay.
I am a feminist who absolutely loves men. I'm raising 4 men. I have 2 grandsons and a wonderful husband. I love men. I love them. And I came into coaching through my son, through my eldest son.
Okay.
So women often they might recommend their partner to me, they might recommend their sons to me, and I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no.
That's fabulous. So how did you come up with such a fabulous name, Mother of Abundance? I mean, obviously you're a mother, but was there something more to it?
Yeah, I wanted to encourage people to think about an abundance mindset. And this is irrespective of whether you've got all the trappings of success or not. You might be, living in abject poverty and still really happy. You might be really minted, for want of a better term, and be emotionally bereft, and everything in between, everything that comes in between that way and that way, and I wanted people, mothers particularly were my focus, to know that they can be literally their own mother of abundance. They can be the mother of abundance, and they can be their own mother of abundance as well. Because we know a lot of this stuff comes from within, right? And I know with you being a relationship coach, you'll know all about that. It starts with what's in here.
Absolutely.
And that's like the dynamo, right? That's where the engine, that's where all the energy comes from. And I wanted to be the mother of all abundance, right? So it's a little bit like a play on words.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Literally and universally as well.
So what if you're not a mother?
Okay.
Then, physically given birth, how would that work?
Right. Okay. So
would that just not be the right audience because that's not who your focus is on?
It's not my focus, but I attract a lot of women who are not mothers, and I welcome them too. It's so, and you said from your body,
there's many ways to mother, but that's
there
why
are many ways to mother. Yeah. There are many ways to mother, and I think Gwen's a really good example of that. My beloved cousin Gwen. When we were with Gwen, she really mothered us.
Yes.
Really mothered us. We were so safe. And she was really young, man. She was 17 for about 10 years. And she's still 17. She's not budged from being a 17-year-old. And it still blows my mind to this day. Gwen, I'm telling you now, when I was 17, I was not nearly half as mature as you were at 17 years old. She was taking us on the tube. She was taking us near and far. Her dad had no worries about her taking us. My mom had no worries about her taking us. She was responsible, loving, caring, nurturing,
Yeah, and still is.
Still is. No change there, right? So we have mothers who have not given birth physically, who do not have children living in their homes who they are responsible to. But when they have, family members, godchildren, stepchildren, whatever, they're definitely the mother. Yeah. They're definitely the mother. On the flip side now, there are women who have given birth to children who are not mothering. They're not kind. And, it's kind of like you feel sorry for their kids. Right. And I'm thinking of people like Rose West. She's quite famous. I don't know if you remember Rose and Fred West. Fred West was a serial killer, and he and his wife were abusing young people, killing young people. They had children of their own. They're abusing them. She's not the kind of mother I have in mind when I talk about mothers. I'm also a stepmother, but as far as I'm concerned, those boys are mine.
Yeah, yeah, which is how it should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
if we're a family, we're a family, no matter how we're connected, whether it's by blood or not.
Yeah, and then there's like I've got a really good friend of mine, two close friends of mine and nannies. And one of them was celebrating her 50th birthday just over at the weekend. So all three of us were together at that party. Now, one of them has a child, the other one doesn't. And I can go to either of them for parenting advice, and have done many times. And Natalie doesn't have any children. She's a godmother, she's an aunt, she's a stepmother. But she gives me and always consistently has given me really good advice when I've wanted to wring my children's necks. I've gone to her. So this thing about mothering it's not always linear. And I've been really careful to make that clear. When I've spoken to women, if there'll be times, I'm not. One woman corrected herself and said, I'm not really a mum, I'm a stepmom. And I said, are you attentive to your stepchild? Do you? Sure, yeah. That's more than some biological mothers do or would consider doing.
Yeah. And I think the mothering is not necessarily about the act of giving birth, but it's the act of giving love.
Yes, definitely.
Giving love in a way that, that unconditional love that a mother should be given, tends to give. As you said, not every mother does that, but that's so important. And that's why many children that were raised by their grandmothers and not by their mothers feel that connection, and sometimes fall in love with their grandmothers more than their mothers because of the love and attention they received. So it's really beautiful. I love that. So, one of the things I found really interesting about you, and why I wanted to entitle this Love in Balance, was every time, well, not every time, but when we spoke, our initial conversation, I kept sensing this balance of scales, these scales that, the love was here and the doing was here, whatever it was. So, love family, love business, love self-love. It was so amazing. And so I wanted to ask you, tell me a bit about some of the things that you're doing for self-love, some of your routines in terms of meditation and how you do it and how you eat and how you maintain that balance, because it's not easy when you're a busy person. You've got a demanding life, you've got a family, you've got a husband as well. I don't know if Peter's demanding or not, but even if whether he's or not, it's about, finding that balance for everything. So how, apart from your self-love, or is that how you get the balance? How do you maintain that love in balance?
Okay, so like I said before, everything for me is an opportunity to demonstrate love as a core value, right? And that includes self-care. And I recognize and I am very comfortable with understanding that self-love needs to come first. My family do not miss out on account of that. My family benefit on account of that, because I'm not pouring from an empty cup. I put oil in my lamp so I can shine my brightest light, and I do that.
I love that.
I do that. It's mandatory. Peter is not demanding. He's really not. So that makes things easy on the one hand and a little bit of a challenge on another, because I could say to him, babe, can I get you something? And go, no, it's all right. And I'm like, well, how do I demonstrate then someone who needs nothing? So I just give him hugs and kisses then, right? And hugs and kisses, and just tell him I love him every day. Tell him that I thank God for him every day. Demonstrate in a way that he can receive and
feel.
And feel, just demonstrate, even where it comes to work now, I love what I do, and I have molded my businesses to be something that I can love. So even like here, there's thought that has gone into the picture that's behind me because it makes me feel good, and hopefully it makes people feel good when they see it. The grass, the decorations, the little meditators here, they've got like crystals in front of each of them. Depending on how I'm feeling, I might put a different crystal in front of them. My pampas grass behind the grass.
Well pronounced.
It's pampas grass. And the vase that I, took a long time to choose because of the colouring of the glass that I really like. So that when I sit here and I come here to work and to connect with people, I feel great here. And I purposefully wanted a floor space because I like sitting with my legs crossed. So a desk was not going to be for me. And I just decided, I dictated, no, I don't need to have a desk. I don't need to work out which is the best orthopedic chair for me, because actually I prefer sitting with my legs crossed. So I decided to sit on like a meditation cushion instead. So you can see that, my little meditation cushion.
Love it.
What's
inside of it?
It's I think it's buckwheat.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there's buckwheat inside of it. So I just decided, if I'm in charge, which I am, how do I make this the best? If I have the best boss in the world, which I do, because she's me, right? How's she gonna deck things out to make sure I show up really happy?
That's great.
And even wearing hats and stuff like that. I want to wear a hat sometimes, so I wear a hat. I don't always want to wear makeup, so I don't always wear makeup.
That's
and
right.
I want to turn up and feel happy and feel like, you know what? I'm really enjoying this. This is great. It's all built in. It's all built in purposefully. Even the food that I eat, you might know that on Mondays and Wednesdays I fast. I do the 5-2, and I had my soup today, Michelle. When you called me earlier, we spoke briefly earlier. I was blessed. We saw each other. I was making my soup. I was making my fasting soup, which is based on Vietnamese pho. So there's lots of vegetables in it, very thin but flavoursome broth. Yeah. So it's just filled with good, nutritious stuff. And this is the thing. I like big food, right? I like big food. So even if I'm going to be fasting, the rules is low calorie. The rules are not, I can't eat as much as I like. So everything has to be, I think, how can I sort of make this tailor-made wonderful experience for me according to the things that I like and that I enjoy, and I know I enjoy my food. So then it's like, I can pack in all my favorite vegetables, all my favorites,
So great. I love that. And you said you do 5-2, so that's 2 days fasting and 5 days non-fasting. So how long have you been doing that for?
I think I started with 5-2 in about 2016.
Okay, it's a while.
However, I've not done it consistently. So sometimes I'll go through months where I've not done the 5-2, and I might start putting on a bit of weight, or I'm feeling sluggish, or I feel that I'm not at peak performance, and then I'll start doing it. And if I lose too much weight, like if my wedding set feels like it's falling off all the time, then I might step back from doing the 5-2 for a bit. But it's
so interesting because I've just started probably about 4 weeks ago doing 16-8. And it works beautifully for me, and I've started to lose weight. But what I found really interesting are the other side effects, which are positive side effects, by the way. So I feel like my head's clearer. I don't feel like I'm hungry. This sort of waking up with hunger doesn't happen anymore. And I don't go to bed feeling hungry either. The key is the liquids, obviously the water, drinking the water. But I think I don't feel sluggish, and I feel more inspired. So it's been really good for me. And it's now, I'm even thinking about taking it to 6, what would that be? 18 18.4 is no 18.6.
Yeah, 18.6.
Yeah, 18.6. I would like to get there, but I need to have the right foods ready, like you said, like a nice broth or something to break the fast. But what I tend to do is have a really beautiful salad, and I make that from scratch, and I make it in layers, and then I have something for dinner around 6 or 7, and it's been working really well. I really enjoy it. Now I'm a bit challenged in Spain because I do like a glass of wine, and so when I got here, everyone's like shoving a glass of wine in front of you. I'm like, oh, all right, a little bit later, but my throat is really yearning it. So I'm being challenged. This is really nice, but yeah, I found it really good. So I'm just curious as to how it's working for you, and is that all part of finding your balance as well with how you're eating and how you're living your life and sleeping and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's definitely part of my balance, and just making sure that I have a way of staying healthy that I like.
Okay.
This hobby lifestyle thing, right? Making sure that I do things that I enjoy. And you said earlier, it can be really hard to do these things. My attitude is that, yeah, it can be hard, but it can be easy as well. I suppose it depends on your mindset. Mindset's kind of
Mm,
everything. So I make sure that I look for the easiest way and the most sustainable way for my personality type.
yes,
And,
yes.
and that makes it so much easier for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
It makes it so much
'Cause
easier.
one shoe doesn't fit all, and that's what we forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you, in terms of mindset and everything else, it's great that you have all these things in place, but have you had to give something else up in order to have this? So do you give up watching TV, or do you give up hanging out with friends, or have you given anything up in order to have more of the other things that are really important to you?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question, because I always think about what I gain, what I gain, what I gain, what I gain. I've not really given much thought to what I give up. Um, and I think the honest answer is I've not had to give up anything. That is the
Wow.
honest answer. I don't really watch much TV anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm more likely to be on my laptop pottering about than being watching TV. Friday evening, I have a running appointment, a running engagement with my son. So this is my Sabbath time, right? It's not like a religious Sabbath as such.
Yeah.
It's holy, is it connects me to my maker and to my core values, right? So
Yeah.
Friday, it's like later on in the evenings, I start to wind down, and I have Friday family film night. So we'll get a takeaway. Remember me saying I'm not always eating healthy food, right?
Yeah, that's
So
great for you.
we'll get a takeaway and we'll watch our favorite films. We're really into anime and Marvel films. And for me, this is like part of my religious beliefs. This keeps me connected to my well-being, right? It keeps me connected to my beloved family, and my son knows it's just part of what we do.
It's
Um,
lovely.
so in terms of going out with friends, I mentioned I've gone to London and gone to my friend's 50th birthday party, which was fantastic. So I'm still able to connect with friends. Some of my closest friends are family members. That includes like Gwen, right? And
Yeah,
Gwen will probably tell you that I'm one of the things that I do to celebrate my family and keep my hobby lifestyle with my family as well is we do family day once a month. I don't know if she's ever mentioned that to
yeah,
you. Right. Okay. So I'm like the linchpin where family day is concerned. I was like, right, we can't have another month go by and not have family day. These are the dates that are coming up in October. When can we get together? Even if you come on Zoom for 10, 15 minutes, just give us a little update on how you are and what's going on for you. And if bring your food, bring your food to the event, because we'll be cooking up big food. We'll show everybody what we're eating, and who can come in physically there. That's great. If they can't, Zoom's there, and we'll connect with each one. And I make that a priority because I need to know how everyone's doing, right?
it's so
um
beautiful.
Great having WhatsApp, but
Not quite the same. And we can get really hooked on that and get comfortable with that and not realize, you know, if we can't have the touch, then we've got to have the next best physical thing, which is seeing each other and
yeah.
speaking with each other. Unless you're like my family, they all talk at the same time. So when we're doing Zoom, I'm like, oh, can you do one at a time? One at a time. It's like they have no idea that they're on Zoom. They just keep talking. You're like, all right, when all 10 of you are finished, then I'll jump in.
I think we're quite good at that. I think because we will say, and what's going on with you, Gwen? Or what's going on with you, Mummy? Or what's going on, Gay? We'll name the person, sit back and give them space.
Yes, yeah, I'll try that. I don't know if it will work, but I will try that.
You know what? It doesn't even need to be monthly. Just we haven't had ours for a few months.
Yeah.
But yeah, connecting with friends. You know, I've said to you, I know you're nearer to me than London. It's like, let's link up, let's do coffee.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I've given anything up. I still make time for my friendship circles and for human connection.
Yeah.
Right. And just finding out how people really are, more than just the superficial level.
How you doing?
Yeah, just with how you do it. And I understand. I understand that sometimes people don't have these skills that I have demanded of myself, right? And they don't know about it because we are not taught about this. We go to school, we're taught to do well in school, we're taught to get good qualifications, and they get to go to college or uni or whatever, or get a job. And these are things that we're taught about. We're not really taught about how to make really good relationships, how to deal with it if you don't want to be someone's girlfriend anymore, how to deal with it if your boyfriend finishes with you, how to deal with it if somebody dies, how to keep in touch with your family when you go to uni. We're not taught these things.
Yeah, we just figure it out.
We figure it out. But yeah, these are the
most now.
Yeah. These are the most important things. These are the most important things.
It's part of what I do with the coaching. I mean, one of the things that's really important about the type of coaching that I do with relationships, most people think it's about relationships with husbands and wives and whatever, but it's relationship with yourself. Because if you create that space and a set way of doing things for yourself, then other people see that and they follow along. I like the way she did that. Okay. Even in my relationship with my partner, every day it's learning. Every day it's about, you know, having conversations about things that aren't always comfortable or different, but we try. And then if we come to a stumbling block, we'll come back at it from a different direction another day, because it's not always straightforward. How you see something may be plain and straightforward, but somebody else coming from a completely different lifestyle, a different way of life, a different way of doing things. And I think one of the things that I think is really important, which I missed, I don't know what, I don't want to say I missed out on, but with not having children, one of the things that I always wanted to have when I wanted to have children was to create our own family, create our own little world, our own way of doing things, our own way of communicating. It's our way of doing things. And my partner's from Cuba. One of the things that I love, it's very simple, but I think it's I don't know why, it's always resonated with me. When you go to someone's house in Havana, they tend to live in apartment buildings, they're quite high. And when somebody wants to see you, they don't ring the doorbell, they whistle. And every family has their own whistle. And I don't know what it is about that just really resonates with me, but it's kind of like, this is what we've created for us. So if I hear somebody whistling, it's not our family whistling. Oh, it's not for us, it's somebody else. So I don't even have to go out and look out the window. And it's so amazing. And then they'll have a little basket and they'll run the basket down, because the person probably wants the keys, and they'll put the keys in and then bring it back up and then let them in. It's just so cool. I love it.
That's beautiful. I'd love that too. I do love that.
And so that's what I love about your family time, you know, with the candles, everything. You've created your family life the way you want it. You've created the Broderick way of doing things. You know, it's the way you guys want to do you. And that's so important, because we get caught up in a world where we're all trying to, not we necessarily in general, are trying to emulate what everybody else is doing. What about doing you? Just being you, however you want to do you, not what everybody else is doing. Who cares what everybody else is doing? But look, I don't want to, there's something really important that I want to talk about, and I don't want to miss out on that. But
Okay.
I want to talk about manifesting the man of your dreams. This is so, so important because I had a very similar experience, and I don't want the audience to miss out on that. So please tell us about how you manifested Peter. At least that's what I'm calling it, the manifestation of
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah. It's definitely that's what I would call it. That's exactly what I would call it. Okay, so I mentioned that I lived in Spain for a bit. What I
Yeah.
didn't mention, and what I don't mind mentioning, was that was actually that signposted the breakdown of my first marriage. And that was why I returned to England, because it just didn't work out. And that's fine, right? So when I came back and I rebuilt my life, I had to start from scratch in so many different ways. It meant moving from where I'd been living in Peckham for 10 years, moving up to North London, where my sister and brother-in-law took real good care of me, God bless them, and then moving to Stanmore, which I absolutely loved there. I recreated my career as well, and I thought, right, okay, it's not been that long, but I'm just saying, God, no one's praying. I'm just saying, God, just so you know, I'm really happy now. I've sorted myself out. There's no drama in my life. There's no drama. I've got a good income now, the best income I'd ever had up until that point in my life. It's the best ever.
Okay.
And I'm secure with my little boy. I'm secure with my son. I'm able to look after myself, look after my son, live somewhere nice, all those things. If I'm going to have a man now, he's got to be Mr. Right, because I'm not doing sorting the wheat from the chaff anymore. And I do not want to have a conveyor belt of men being tested out in front of my son. It's
Yes.
either Mr. Right or it's nobody, because I'm quite happy and comfortable with my own space and my own company. That's great. That's fine for me. So I prayed and prayed, and then I thought to myself, right, okay, what kind of a man would I like if that's the way things are gonna go for me? I thought, well, I'd like someone who's solvent, because my ex-husband had almost broken me financially. I thought, I'm not doing that again. It's got to be solvent. I'd like him to have a car, because I don't really want to be dropping someone here, there, and everywhere. I'd like him to be a homeowner. That's not like a deal breaker, but I'd like someone to be a homeowner because I'm a homeowner. I'd like him to have some sort of understanding of what that's like. I'd like them to be ambitious, either have their own business or know what that's like, because I, even at that point in time, was very ambitious. Set up my own business online at the time.
Wow.
Right, okay, that's kind of what I want. And then I had to look at myself and think, well, am I all of those things? Am I all of those things? So is it fair then for me to have half of those things on the list and expect the person who I'm attracting to have all, if not more, of those things on the list?
There you go.
So I thought, do you know what, God, just in case he's out there somewhere, let me just start sorting myself out, so that if he comes along, not only will I recognize him, but I'll be worthy of him, because he's got to be worthy of me. I'm messing about. I'm not playing any games here, right? He's got to be worthy of me, but I've got to be worthy of him. I want to meet him on equal grounds or something better.
Yeah.
So around that time now, I'd been meditating. I'd gone back into really meditating in it became a practice, an important practice to me. So I'd think about it from time to time, and I'd think about bringing forth the man of my dreams and becoming somebody who was worthy of the man of my dreams as well. And I had a dream about Lennox Lewis. I don't know if I told you this. I had a dream about Lennox Lewis because I hadn't got in my mind's eye physically what this man would look like, because I'd had the man of my dreams physically before, and he was great, but he wasn't a good fit for me, right? He wasn't a good fit for me on many other levels. So I didn't really play too harsh a thing on how they look, right? So I had this dream about Lennox Lewis. This was on a Saturday night. I even remember it was on a Saturday night. And I remember in the dream being stood on what looked like a council flat. And Lennox Lewis was in front of me. And I thought, well, I'm not really into Lennox Lewis because he's kind of big and I'm not really into big guys. And at that point in the dream, I was thinking, why is Lennox Lewis, multimillionaire sportsman, standing in a council flat living room? It was like a high rise or something, or low rise flat, right? I was thinking, this doesn't make any sense. And he bent down and he hugged me, and my legs gave, and I thought, oh, this is the guy I'm going to marry. This is a guy I'm going to marry. And Michelle, honest to God, I woke up from that dream determined I was going to marry Lennox Lewis. And I promise you, this story's going somewhere, right?
You weren't stalking him, right?
No, I did start. I looked him up on Google. I checked to see if he was married. My good friend Natalie, who I was talking about, one of my nanny friends, because she's like the wealth of information, not just how to raise my kids. But Natalie, is Lennox Lewis married? I spoke to my sister. Is Lennox Lewis married? And I don't know. I'm not really sure. Anyway, the following Tuesday now, I get a phone call out of the blue. And I'm driving on my way to meet my accountant for the first time.
Yeah.
And I get this. Now, this is real deep information I'm giving you here. You know the score. You know that my family name is Sandra. It's one of my family names, right? So this person phones and says, hello, Sandra. And straight away I'm thinking, this must be somebody from back in the day who knows my family name. Because Xina's was my middle name, right? Sandra was my first name. And I'm like, hello. And I'm like, tell me, are you still the most beautiful girl in the world? And I was like, oh. I was like, oh, that's nice. What a way to open a telephone conversation. And I'm like, who is this? I said, is that Peter? Because I've not spoken to Peter for years. We were born on the same street. Right, we were born on the same street, and then he said, "Yeah, it is." And I thought, "No, this can't be Peter. I've just given some random dude a name, and he's just agreed it could be anyone." I said, "All right, what's your surname then?" He says, "What's my name?" I says, "Yeah, what's your surname?" And he says, "You want me to tell you my surname?" I'm like, he's trying to get time now, right? He's trying to get time, and I heard a little voice in the background say, "Dad, do you even know what your surname is? I could tell you your surname is if you don't know what it is." And then Peter go, "Get out of the room, child. Who's talking to you?" So we're both cracking up. And he said, it's Peter Broderick. And from that moment, we spoke and spoke and spoke. That was a Tuesday after the Lennox Lewis dream. And to put that into context, Peter's a big guy. He's a really big guy. By the Sunday, I thought, if this man would have me, I would marry him. I would marry him. And I wrote him an email on the Monday called Stuff. So this is now 7 days since the Tuesday, right? And it was called Stuff. And I said, Peter, we've been getting on really well. We've been talking for hours. We've been texting each other on the phone. We've been emailing each other even. And I just think I have to be fair and say to you that I'm starting to feel stuff for you. I'm trying to feel stuff for you. And I don't want you to I feel like by not mentioning that, I could potentially be misleading you somehow, but I would love to take this further. And he wrote back saying, I don't think there's any secret here in Leeds, that I've been feeling stuff for you for the longest time now, and the feeling's mutual. So we agreed to meet up in We agreed to meet up in York, because I had some business up in Gateshead, and it was going to take me to Gateshead. The train was going to take me to Gateshead via York, which isn't too far from Leeds in real terms. So we agreed to meet up.
Sorry to interrupt you, but so were you both living in Leeds at that time?
No. So that time I was living in London, and he was living in Leeds.
Okay.
And I've still not seen him for about 20 years. We'd had one phone call before that. But yeah, so he agreed to meet me in York on my way back down from this business meeting in Gateshead, and we saw each other. He hugged me, my knees gave.
Oh my God!
Thought, this is the man I'm gonna marry. And 8 months later, we were married.
I love it. I love it. Not wasting any time, just getting on with love. I love it. And we should have had Peter on. What made him call you?
Right. Okay. So that's a good question. Earlier in that year, I'd gone to visit his sister Maggie. Me and Maggie were friends from the longest time. I'd gone to visit Maggie. It was Maggie's husband's 40th birthday, and it was the day after the party. And you know, there's always plenty cooked food left over, right, Michelle? People are still milling around, come back for some of yesterday's big food. And Peter's from a big family, and I when I used to go and see Maggie, I'd ask her for the rundown, what I call a rundown. I used to love it. She'd tell me how everybody is in the family, from the eldest and to the youngest, and Peter's the youngest.
Okay.
Right? So she'd say, "Oh yeah, Peter's divorced now, and you know, it's all right. Should we call him? Should we call Peter?" And I was like, "All right." We'd never done that before. Never called any of the siblings before. I was like, "Okay." And so she phoned Peter and said, "Oh, P, there's someone I want you to speak to." I was like, hi, Peter. I love you and I love your family. You probably don't remember me, but I remember you, and I hope you're really well. And he was like, "Is that Sandra?" I was like, "Yeah, it is." And I was really surprised that he could remember me. But he said he'd get my number from his sister, which I didn't believe. I thought it was being like London polite. You know, London polite. It's like, we could get together sometime. It ain't gonna really happen, but it's just London polite, right? So I thought it was being London polite. That's all right. Yeah, you get my number from your sister. And I think he called me 2 months later. And that was when that phone call, "Sandra, you're still the most beautiful girl in the world." That was 2 months after that initial call. And I still hadn't seen him for about 20 years at that point.
Well, I can tell you, he was absolutely right. You are still the most beautiful girl in the world.
Oh,
And you're just a breath of fresh air. And if that's how I'm feeling talking to you, I can only imagine how your clients feel, how your customers feel. You must be doing amazing, amazing work. And I'd be remiss not to remind everybody, check Xina's website out, Mother of Abundance, because as you can see, she is full of abundance, of love and clarity and kindness and caring. And I hope everyone who's watching today has walked away with something that really touched them. But I am touched that how you figured out to have love and balance. And I'm going to be working on mine. Love it. I love it. I think it's so great. You figured out how to have it all. And so we've got to wrap up the show. But in 1 minute, if that's possible, are you able to tell me, if you're a woman who's married or not married, is raising a family, and you're struggling because of COVID, or because you were struggling before COVID, or you're struggling to have balance because you're trying to do everything and yet you're not really doing anything, do you have one tip to maybe figure out how do I find the right direction? Because I'm just all over the place. Would you have one tip for those?
Yes. It's quite simple, but sometimes when we're struggling, the simple things go out of the window because we're not in that mind space.
Yes.
We're in the sort of mind space of confusion and stress and overwhelm. But sometimes stripping that back to silence, just silence. And if after the school run, or on your lunch break, or if you get up an hour earlier, or if you go to bed an hour earlier, or have a bath, man. I love me a bath with bath salts in. Bath salts are the best. But if you just find some space for silence and just think to yourself, what makes me happy? What makes me happy? And just, if you can do it for an hour, you'll find your chimp mind will be going crazy. Oh, we gotta surf on the internet to find the answer. We've got to turn on the TV and look for the answer. No, your higher mind will be like, no, we're just gonna have some quiet right now. And you can do that. You can gain the authority in your mind and tell the little girl or the chimp or whatever you call ego, just be quiet. This is time for big people space now. Right? And we're going to just clear our minds, and we're going to think. And that doesn't mean thinking of nothing, because that is almost impossible. Think of nice things. Think of peaceful things. And It's not even thinking of peaceful things. If you can think to yourself, if I was the embodiment of happiness, if happiness was in human form and that was me, how would I show up? How would I
Girl,
show up?
that's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
And
That
that's what I would say start with. But if you need help, women often don't ask for help when they need it because we're used to kind of knuckling
Mhm.
down and muscling through. Don't need to do that. We can reach out and ask help if it's your girlfriend, if it's a trusted member of the family, if it's your GP, whoever, whatever. If you need help, please ask for help and get it. Yeah.
Xina, thank you so much. You are the mother of abundance,
Thank
of
you.
abundant information and love and knowledge. And I am so grateful and proud to let me say that in English. I'm so proud to have you on the show today. Thank you for connecting with us on the Joy of Connection. And I'll
It's been
see
an
you back
honor.
in the green room. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. And so, guys, that's it for tonight. How amazing is she? Wow. So be joyful, be connected, and shine your light. Thank you and good night.